Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. What I have here is a 1972 Ford Thunderbird. And 72 was really the first year for this body style. I've been a Thunderbird guy my whole life. I've got a couple of Thunderbirds, and I've always actually liked these big birds. So I'm going to talk about it a bit, show you the car, and give you a little history on it. You know, in 1971, the Thunderbird, which looked very different, was not a big seller. It sold about 36,000 units, and Ford wanted to make a change to the car, and 72 was the first year for that change. So the big change was the size of the car. This is a big car. It's built on the Lincoln Mark IV chassis, which itself was built on a Ford Torino chassis that was actually stretched out. But this was built on the Lincoln Mark IV chassis and is very much like a Lincoln. You know, the grill, the front end of the grill is different. The rear taillights are different, the rear end. But in between and inside, it's just like the Lincoln. And that really made this car one of the best luxury deals that you could get in its day. I mean, you know, this particular car started at somewhere around $5,300 a year. And a Lincoln Mark IV started at about $7,800 a year. So for 2/3 the price of a Lincoln, you could get a car that was 80%, 85% as nice as the Lincoln. And that's what really made them a great deal. And I've always loved these cars. So it's, you know, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of them left around. Thunderbird sales shot up for 1972 quite a bit. Production end of the year in 1972 at almost just shy of 58,000 units, and that was versus just under 36,000 for 71. So that was a 60% increase. So this car sold really well when it was new, and people really loved it. And that was interesting. In 1973, sales went up again to over 87,000, and 73 really marked a change in the car, not just for the Thunderbird, but for the Lincoln, for a lot of Ford vehicles, for a lot of manufacturers' vehicles, because of the implementation of 5-mile-per-hour bumper standards that were put in place. And that caused a lot of the bigger bumpers that you saw on the 73 and later cars to be required in order to meet those bumper standards. So because of that, the 72 Lincoln and the Mark IV and the 72 Thunderbird are really 1 year only body styles with the front end and the grille. And I've always liked it this year the best of the Thunderbird, of the big birds. To me, this was the best looking one of that generation, just like the Lincoln Mark IV. The 72 was the best looking year. Now, despite making, you know, almost 58,000 units of these Thunderbirds for 72, there aren't very many left around. You don't see a lot of them around anymore. And that's a shame. And I think it's really because it was just a Ford. It wasn't considered a collectible car. The Lincoln was something special. People didn't drive them hard. People took care of them and considered them to be future collectibles to some degree. And so a lot of them survived, but the Thunderbirds didn't. A lot of Thunderbirds were just driven as daily drivers, driven into the ground, and found their way into scrapyards, unfortunately. And that's really a shame. So you don't see the Thunderbirds around very often. And I don't know for sure, but I would venture to say there are fewer 72 Thunderbirds around now on the road than 72 Lincoln Mark IVs. Anyway, this car was originally sold new at McGinnis Ford in Lincoln, Nebraska, and has what I believe is an original mileage of just over 25,000 miles, close to 26,000 miles. Now, I can't verify that for sure, but based on the condition of the car and a lot of the original components that were on it when I got it, I think it is correct. I don't think a car that had 125,000 miles would be as clean as this. it is possible, but remember, back in the day, these cars were typically good for about 100,000 miles before things started to fall apart. And a lot of those common things that you see on higher mileage cars from the era, you don't see on this car. So I do suspect that that mileage is original. Now that being said, there was some work that had to be done, and I did do that. I've done quite a bit of work to it in order to sort it out so that it can be a good, reliable driver. And if you look in the description below, you'll see a lot of what was done to it. Several $1,000s were spent on it. One of the things was changing the carburetor out. These Lincolns, these Thunderbirds and Lincolns, were all equipped with Ford's 4300 4-barrel carburetor, which was not one of Ford's better ideas. In fact, it was a pretty bad design. I've had many cars over the years with that carburetor, and even if you tweak it and re-engineer it, it's still not, it still doesn't perform very reliably. It bogs down when you step on it, you get hesitation and stalling and that sort of thing. So the easiest thing to do to really improve the drivability of the car is to put a Holley or an Edelbrock carburetor on. And that's what I did. I put an Edelbrock 650 CFM carburetor on, and it made all the difference in the world. It's a whole different car now. Starts up reliably, drives reliably, accelerates. It's all there, and it really makes a big difference. Now, if we look under hood, if I can get the hood open. It's hard to do it with one hand. There we go. This car is equipped with a Ford's 429 4-barrel engine. There was an optional 460 engine. That was the Lincoln engine, and that was available as an option. Had a little more horsepower, but not much. I think it was 212 for the 429 versus 225 for the 460. This one has the 429 in it. And the 429 Ford's FE Big Block is a great engine. Like I said, the main issue with them was the 4-barrel carburetors. And you can see on this one, I installed it so that it looks completely stock. I'm pretty picky about that, including the fast idle actuator solenoid that engages when the air conditioning compressor comes on. So it's all been, it looks very stock despite adding that carburetor. It's also got, it's been fully tuned up. There've been a number of different things I did. Tune up oil change. The brake fluid was flushed. The cooling system was flushed. There's a new radiator cap, just on and on and on. If you read the description, you'll see that. There's a brand new battery as well on it that I put in. There were a number of original hoses on the car, including some of the heater hoses and whatnot that still were Motorcraft hoses. So that tells me that a lot of those original parts were still there. It's another indication that the car was really a low mileage car. When I flushed the transmission, I had it flushed out and the filter changed. The mechanic showed me the filter and said, "Hey, take a look at this. This is interesting." And it said Motorcraft. So it was the original transmission filter in that transmission. So just another reason that I suspect the mileage on this car is original and correct. One of the things this car does have, which was not an option in 1972, are optional Thunderbird aluminum wheels. Those did not become an available option until 1974. Somebody added them to this car instead of the original turbine wheel covers or flat disc wheel covers. And they actually look really good. Lincoln used the same optional wheel covers in the 70s as well. Not wheel covers, they're aluminum, polished aluminum rims. But the center cap or center cover on the Lincolns would have been different. They would have had a Lincoln emblem in them. These ones actually have the Thunderbird logos They are the true Thunderbird wheels. Was not an option 72, was an option 74. Very handsome looking. So I think it's a nice addition to the car. 1972 was the only year for the Landau bars on the roof. They later changed, 73 they started with an opera window. And of course Lincoln Mark IVs all had opera windows, except for the first part of 72 when opera windows were actually an option. But very few of those around. I like the Landau bars. A lot of people don't. They think it's very 70s. I agree it is, but I really like them. I've always liked them. For that reason, I like this better than the Lincoln Mark IV. Rather have the Landau bars than the opera windows. The other thing I like about the Thunderbird that the Lincoln didn't have are these rear tail lights. Of course, the Lincoln had a spare tire shaped trunk lid, and it just had split tail lights. This has a full set of taillights all the way across, and they light up all the way across. On the Thunderbirds, when you turn the headlights on, this rear tail light lights up right across. When you turn your turn signals on, of course, flashes on the left and right. They do not flash sequentially. They'd stop doing that by then. But I always thought that rear tail lamp assembly that lights up on the Thunderbird is really, really neat, really good looking. The Lincoln, of course, had hideaway headlights. Thunderbird does not. I like them both equally, but I think this is, you know, of these later big birds, I think this is one of the better looking front ends, in my opinion. You may or may not agree with that, but another nice thing about this car is the interior is also large, pretty much all original. You can see the original cloth seats in it. The car does have the optional power seat assemblies. It's got power windows, has cruise control, which works intermittently. It does work, and sometimes, and then it kind of slows down and shuts off. Other times it works fine. Other than that, no problem. Power steering, power brakes, tilt steering wheel. I did do some work in here, some restorative work to it. I put new window motors in both of the doors, and I removed the dash. A lot of these dashes were notorious for the chrome peeling off. You see a lot of these cars, mostly the Thunderbirds, but some of them in the Cougars and the Lincolns too, where all this chrome trim is peeling off. And I actually pulled the dash on it and I sent it to a place out east, and they stripped it, re-chromed it, repainted it, did a beautiful job. That was an expensive restoration performance, but it was well worth it, I think. I mean, that dash looks brand new again. Carpet is gorgeous. It's the original thick cut pile plush carpeting. Thunderbird floor mats, I added those. Those are actually out of I think a 64. I could be wrong, but I like them, so I put them in the car. Everything in the car works great. All the power options, the power windows, the power seat. Air conditioning blows cold. Probably could use a slight recharge because it's not ice cold, but it's cool. And you can see there it has the air conditioning in it. Now this is not the automatic climate control. That was an option, and this car is not equipped with that option. But it does have the air conditioning, which was optional. Optional air conditioning was not cheap. It was a pricey upgrade for the car. So what's interesting about these cars, like the Lincolns themselves, the Mark IVs, it's a very unique sitting angle and driving angle. You can see through the windshield here. And despite the size of it, I mean, this windshield, it doesn't give you a big, expansive view of the road ahead. If you also look under the dash, notice you can't see the brake pedal when you're looking down. All the Lincolns, all the Thunderbirds, all the cars based on the Torino chassis were like that. It's just the way that the interior was configured and the space that was available. But nevertheless, I think a gorgeous car. I've always liked these. The other nice thing about this body is how, see the door, the belt line across the fender to the door kicks up at the rear, just past the opera window. That's a really sharp looking body feature and body design, which the Lincoln also had as well. These opera windows are unique because I shouldn't call them opera windows. They're rear windows. They don't go all the way back in. They only go back to about here, and that's the way it is in all the Thunderbirds. In fact, the Lincolns, they only go back about an inch because they have to clear the opera window that's inside. These cars, the Thunderbird obviously doesn't have the opera window. Despite that, those little vent windows only go back a couple of inches. So I don't know why they did that. Later on, Ford just made them non-operable. They just didn't go back at all. Probably a cost-cutting measure. This car was painted from the factory in color code 2D blue, which is a beautiful blue. And there were only I can't remember the actual numbers for the paint. But if I recall right, I'm trying to show you the plate here, the tag. If I recall right, only something like 3% of the Thunderbirds built were painted in this gorgeous blue color. So, and that was one of the things that caught my eyes about this car. I remember this blue. I always thought it was a gorgeous color. It's kind of a medium sky blue metallic, and you just don't see a lot of Thunderbirds in this color. You can see that this one has an optional vinyl, the optional white vinyl top. There were a number of different optional colors on the vinyl tops, depending on the color that you ordered for the car. But the color combination on this car is really nice. A lot of these cars were green, they were brown, they were unusual colors. Gold glow was another one. This one is a really nice color combination with the medium blue metallic, the navy blue interior, the white vinyl top, and it's in excellent condition. There's no rust on the car. It's all pretty much original. The trim, the chrome, the body panels. The car was repainted about, I want to say 10 or 12 years ago. And it was the chrome was stripped off. It was taken off and done properly and was repainted in its original color. And they did a really nice job on it. So it has had one repaint, but it has not had any body work. The body's good and solid. And you can see that inside the doors and the door panels as well when you look at it. I did add dual exhaust to the car. And it's a larger exhaust. It's 2¼ inch diameter exhaust, so it can breathe a little bit better, which really helps wake up that 429. It makes a difference. As I said, there's no rust. There are a couple of little small dings and I don't know if you can see that. There's a little ding there. There's a little scratch right up here. Where is it? Can you see it? There it is. So there are a few little dings on it. Nothing too serious. I'm trying to remember. I thought there was another one back here, but no, maybe not. Vinyl tops, really good. These were notorious for bubbling and rusting, getting rust in underneath them. This one really doesn't have it. There's a little bit there, but not really anything to worry about too much. So there's a little bit of shrinkage in the vinyl here, you can see. But other than that, the vinyl's beautiful. I mean, it's not cracking, it's not peeling, it's not coming apart. And it is all original. This was sort of an alligator skin vinyl that Ford used back then. So, very nice shape. And just a joy to drive. So, we will do that in a minute here. Next video, we'll do a drive in the car and a startup, and you can see it run, and we can take it for a drive. And thanks for watching.